Fala, meus amigos, fala, minhas amigas, sejam muito bem-vindos à entrevista do Ibagenscast dessa sexta-feira. Quem fala aqui, como sempre, é o Manu. Antes de eu introduzir o nosso ilustre convidado, eu vou pedir para você se inscrever no canal, ativar as notificações, deixa o like para alimentar o algoritmo, nos siga nas redes sociais. Quem quiser e puder, contribua com o meu trabalho via PIX. Considere se tornar membro do canal, clicando no botão aqui embaixo, Seja Membro. E, bom, bora para nossa entrevista. Dando sequência à série de entrevistas que eu estou fazendo com os membros do Angra envolvidos nessa nova produção, nesse novo disco. Já entrevistei o Paulo Barão, o Felipe Andreoli, o Marcelo Barbosa, o Bruno Valverde, e agora a gente entrevista o produtor desse disco, ele que já produziu 3 discos da banda e está voltando a trabalhar com o Angra. Eu estou falando do Dennis Ward. Dennis, how are you doing, man? It's great to have you back here.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
All right. So to start, I remember seeing you participate in Angra Talks, which was a live video on Angra's YouTube channel some time ago.
Yes.
You were together with Felipe and Rafa, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And we then asked you what you had to say about working with Angra again. Your first words said, and I quote, "fucking finally." My question is, what made you so excited to work with the band again?
Just because I know that we work very well together. You know, I've done this many years, and the kind of way that things click with this kind of musicianship, it's special. It's really special, and when you don't get to do it a lot, you kind of miss it. You know, I don't have to tell you that these guys are all exceptional musicians, every one of them, and to work with that caliber of musicianship and songwriting people, it is a treat that every producer dreams of. And we're very effective in studio when we do work. We're never stuck, never. As a matter of fact, we have actually too many ideas. And this is just, it's always been, as a creative person, very, very, very satisfying.
All right. So we are recording this interview in the 14th of March.
Yes.
It is going on air in May, if everything goes right. At this point in March, how much done is the record? Is it ready? Is it finished?
No, it's not. It's not finished. Well, you know, Angra's on tour right now, and this has put a little bit of a hold on our recordings. I am as far enough to say that I could start mixing immediately, except there's some certain things missing, and until they get back and finish this up, there's no point. I do have a setup going, and we're all very, very happy with it. We think it's going to be really the right way to go, and I think we're going to give the Angra fans that what they've been wanting to have for a long time.
Oh, nice. Because my next question is about this. Well, some or most of Angra fans consider the band primarily a power metal band. I totally disagree with that. I consider Angra to be a very unique and original mix of musical elements. The power metal is there, definitely. But there is progressive rock, progressive heavy metal, classical music, Brazilian music.
Yes,
a lot of elements. Those fans who are more attached to the Angra's power metal side criticize the band's last 2 records, Secret Garden and Omni, and they accuse those albums of running away from that power metal side of the band and going too much towards the progressive side.
Yes,
those fans were also very excited to learn that the Rebirth producer, the Temple of Shadows producer, is in charge of the production of these new records. So what can you say about Angra's musical direction in this new work for those fans?
Well, first of all, I got to say, I see it like you do. I never saw them ever as a power metal band, as a straightforward power metal band. The elements were the occasional riffs, fast parts, and vocal melodies. But there were always the elements that made it very attractive to me was the fact that they were not Euro metal. You know, they had some elements, but they stuck to the roots with their almost jazzy kind of interpretation of chord structures on the guitar. with vocal harmonies and arrangements that were not just like something you pull out of your hat and, you know, 3.5 minute long song, it works where everybody's happy. They think about arrangements and parts, and they try to make the song as exciting as possible. And this is the progressive side to it. They don't try to go down the beaten path, but they do recognize there's certain elements that Angra fans expect. And we did look to make sure we put those in, concentrated, searching for ideas that would be good, acceptable to the artist as a songwriter, and to be sure that the fan would like it too. And I think we had a very successful recording. I think we really got what we were looking for. They've got definitely the prog vibes. I mean, I have to tell you, these guys, I mean, they play, they can play stuff that's just mind-blowing, you know? And if they want to, you know, doodle themselves away and, you know, show off a little bit, I think it's a band that has the right to do that. I've always thought that, you know, I always, for example, Kiko's not in the band, but I always loved recording Kiko's solos and seeing him go over the top, going even farther than people would expect in a power metal band. It's not just, you know, here I am, I'm standing on the mountain playing my solo. It's really thought out and tried, and you know, we looked for certain things and we worked on it. You know, we really tried to get something very, very special and unique. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to do now again, is to look for a way to make an album that has like a color to it, a stamp, a certain kind of vibe and a red line that you will notice no matter which song you listen to on the radio, on the your player, your whatever. If you hear the CD, you'll know right away, oh, that's that CD. That's our goal.
All right. So I want to have your take on the album, your personal take on this new record. I remember when I interviewed you for the last time, you told me that the Temple of Shadow process, and Temple of Shadow is arguably the most acclaimed record of Angra and the most loved between the fans. You told me that the Temple of Shadows process was so intense and tiring that at the end of it, you didn't want to listen to the album. You wanted to take some time and then listen for it for a while. Yes. So, and I remember that you told me that you preferred Rebirth, which has a more traditional heavy metal sound, and that in Temple of Shadows they got too crazy on the progressive stuff.
a little bit, yes.
Yeah. So, how much did you like this new album, and how do you compare this album to the other three you produced?
Well, first of all, it's different mainly because of the vocals, right? Keep in mind, it's a different singer. And for me, that changes everything all the time. Yeah. You can keep your basic music, sure, but the vocal presentation, it identifies the music. It really does. It's like if you want to discuss, is Bon Scott better than Brian Johnson? I don't know. They're different, you know. There's still the kind of meat and potatoes thing to it with the guitars, but they progress too. They got very anthematic rock as opposed to their blues band rock that they did with Bon Scott, right? Then they became an arena rock band, you know, somehow keeping that vibe, but progressing. And I think Angra has done exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, you know. I can't give too many details about the songs, of course, you know, but there's plenty of fast stuff, there's plenty of prog stuff, and for me, what I enjoy the most is like arrangements that are not standard, really thought out arrangements. We really worked hard on the arrangements. We did a proper pre-production, and we looked for parts and beginnings and middle parts and endings, something that would be special, something that would be unique. They're looking to get all the elements in that you would expect, be it the percussion, be it the classical guitar. You're going to hear lots of incredible string sections, incredible stuff. We're going to have nice choirs. We're going to have all that stuff that I think makes an Angra album great without discussing the song itself. Those are the things I want to have. Now we just have to hope that the songs are good enough that all the fans will like it too.
With that being said, how tough is for you to mix an album like this with so much elements?
It's not really hard at all. It looks like it would be a lot of chaos, but you can't see it as individual instruments. You see it as groups of things going on. The drums are doing this, the guitars are doing that, bass is doing this, vocals are doing that, the keyboards are doing this. What's important in this song? What am I going to concentrate on, right? And like if there's an orchestra with 300 tracks, I don't see it as 300 tracks. I see it as an orchestra, right? And I just try to make it fit the way I can. And this is part of producing. I'm trying to, when we mix an album, we're trying to get the final painting, really glossed over to make it really appeal to everybody and to hear all the work that we put into it, but at the same side, do what's right for the song, right? So if somebody's, maybe gets lost with their, I don't know, triangle solo, and it's not hearable in the mix or whatever like that, or maybe I removed it, you never know. This is also something that could happen. So when I got a lot of tracks, it might even come to the point where I say, well, we don't need you. We're not going to use you. I try, but if, this is it's a production. You got to try things, Sometimes you'll have great ideas and you'll get to the final point and realize, wasn't such a great idea. Or there's another way to do it, or this is actually a better idea. So having a lot of tracks makes no difference to me. It's actually gives me opportunity to be dynamically creative when it comes to mixing. So I've got no problem with that.
Right. Well, the band that you encountered on this production is a different band from the one you produced 2 decades ago.
Yes.
Obviously, I will talk personally of each new members that you worked with, Fabio,
Sure.
Marcelo, and Bruno. But in an overall point of view, how do you differentiate the Angra that you worked 2 decades ago and the current Angra on a personal level and on a musical level?
Well, for me, Angra was always back then Kiko and Felipe as my first point of attention when it came to the band. So that means if I had to address any point of anything, I would probably discuss with them first, So I found those guys to be the most important. And I was really amazed to see how Felipe grew into the band to be an extremely stable point of the band. I mean, he writes a lot of songs. He's very, very quick with coming up with ideas. He knows how to do Angra style songs. He knows how to, he's a fan too. He used to listen to Angra. So, it's not like was a jazz bass player that had to be put in a metal band or something. He knows what's going on, The other guys, the new guys, they have really added a really, really great element without trying to take Angra somewhere else, And that's really important, I think, because a band takes years to develop themselves or to create their brand, if you want to call it that. Yeah. And the worst thing that can happen is to get new musicians in the band that try to take it somewhere else that it just is not, You got to be true to your fans. You got to be true to what you're doing and the name of the band. If you want to become a black metal band overnight, do that, but change your name too, So if they want to be Angra, they're going to have to be Angra. So that was very clear. We discussed it, and they've done that, all of them.
And even having produced Angra, 3 albums of Angra, and knowing especially Felipe and Rafael for a long time, did anything that the band brought to the table, this record, surprise you at all? Or impress you at all?
Well, one thing I was actually Felipe has just gotten better than better. He was great back then, and he's really great now. That I have to say. But Rafael, when we started doing some acoustic guitar recordings, I had to stop the recording and compliment and say, your acoustic playing is fantastic. It's such an improvement. I mean, it's been many years, of course, obviously, but it was really like, wow, this is really enjoyable to record him. He knows what he's doing and it feels good. And we got the sound and the thing we were looking for really, really quick. With no compromises. He didn't have to struggle. I didn't have to look for compromises. It was really, really impressive, really impressive. So I take it he's doing a lot of acoustic stuff. He told me he's doing a lot of stuff on his own with acoustic and he's really playing it. And that surprised me very, very much. Yeah.
Nice. And nice that you talk about Felipe. Well, I can play I'm not a bass player, but I can play the bass. I do my own recordings and I play bass. And this is a non-bass player's opinion. I think Felipe Androli is one of the best bass players on the planet. I don't know all the bass players on the planet, but we'll do a contest. I'll put my money on Felipe to be on top. I don't know if I'm saying that is wrong, but I want to hear from a pro bass player, one of the best producers on the planet. Am I right? Felipe is one of the best guys out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been playing 40 years, you know. Okay, I haven't been that intense of a bass performer as he was. I was always an all-in-one guy doing all kinds of stuff. And I still am passionate about my bass guitar. I love my bass guitar. I like it more than I ever have, as a matter of fact. And I think I've also actually progressed in the last 15 years myself. But back then, when I first recorded with Angra, I think it was 2003, and Felipe was already at a level where it was more than impressive. It was already, I had to compliment him back then too and say, wow, that was just the best thing was not just his playing, it was his discipline in studio, because he was young, he was hot, he wanted to show the world what he's got. And every now and then I have to say, you know, hey, I think here's a good spot to just write it out and you know, just give the song what it needs and don't get tricky or fancy. And he would do that. And it was never a discussion. And this is the shit that impressed me very quickly, because usually that would be a 2-hour discussion and it just worked with him. And now he comes in the studio and he's better and he already knows what works and what doesn't work. He might try something before I can go, ooh, I didn't like that. He'll go, nah, we're not doing that. So yeah, he's definitely one of the better ones, not just because of his playing. It's a head thing too. And he's, you know, he hasn't sat in for Billy Sheehan for no reason.
Exactly. You're right. Well, the band has released some reports of the album's recordings on YouTube, and it seems that there is a very good atmosphere between the band and you. And you produced 3 previous records, and I remember we all know that the Aurora Consortium's recordings and productions were very tough, but it looks that this one you're having such a great time. So how good was this process in terms of human relations, and how much of a good time did you have?
It was the most fun I ever had doing an Angren album. Absolutely, the most fun ever. Like I said, I'm working with advanced musicians now. Okay, we have to call them what they are. They're advanced. All of them. Even the youngest guy, he's also very advanced. Working with the vocals, it was, you know, I had designated like 2 weeks for the vocals. I think we needed 10 days, and that was really taking it easy, not being really, you know, hardcore about it. He was done that fast. It was fun, you know, when everything works, when you're just doing your thing and everything just rolls together and everything comes together. You find a problem, you find a solution, and it's working. It is just the most satisfying thing ever. And then you have fun, you know, and when you hear results as you go, it's even more fun. You know, they put me in really nice studios where I had a lot of freedom to do whatever I wanted. The guys came prepared. We had good gear to play with. You know, everything was right. Everything was absolutely right, you know. So, yeah, it was definitely more fun.
Nice. And Marcelo Barbosa told me that you got so involved with the production and with the process to the point that you helped them to write some lyrics. And there's one lyric that was mainly written by you. So can you talk about it and tell how much you got involved with this whole process?
The lyric side, actually, quite a bit, you know, but I understood that Raphael has to take on a big role as guitar player now in the production. And he's actually, you know, the main songwriter too. So he's coming up with all these melodies and lyrics and stuff. Or sometimes he had a song idea, a theme, and the lyrics weren't going, or he wasn't getting as finished as quickly as we'd like to. So I told him, I said, you know, I write lyrics all the time. For me, lyric writing is very easy. And I enjoy it actually very much, oddly enough. I don't know why. And I offered, you know, I said, let me give it a shot. I'm sitting here nights, you know, watching YouTube. I can do other stuff. So I had some ideas. I offered it to them, and you know, they liked it, you know. And like I said, I felt comfortable about doing it. It's always a treat when you get to be able to be creative with the band as well. don't have to. It's not important to me. But yes, they did allow me to do some songwriting in the sense of lyrics as well. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the band's new members. Kiko Loureiro is one of the best guitar players in the world. If a band has someone like Kiko as good as him and then he leaves the band, then this band has a problem. It is to replace him. So,
Yeah.
how do you evaluate Marcelo Barbosa's work on this record?
Very good. He did a lot of guitar work. Very good. He's really great at coming up with clean picking themes. Seemed to be his strong point. It was really, he put in a lot of Brazil into the songs, something I liked a lot. He was really, really creative, really, really creative. He was also good at playing around with the song idea in his room for an hour or two, coming downstairs and then saying, "Hey, I got this. Let's try something." And yeah, he really stepped up. His soloing is going to be great. I'm not involved with the solo recording because I have complete faith in them. They're going to do this just fine. But his riffing is right on time. He's really got a great sound. He knows what he's doing. He's got the feel. He's got everything the band needs. I mean, and he can play like a monster too. Absolutely.
This is a good point I want to talk about. You said, I'm not that much involved on the solos. I have too much faith on the guys.
Yeah.
Is that the normal thing on a production, or
Well,
generally you have to help out the guys?
It's when it comes right down to it, it's also kind of a budget thing, a budget and time thing. For this, I do not need to sit in the $1,000 a day studio with somebody. And to be honest, I can work parallel doing other stuff. And a guitar player that's passionate about his solo idea and he knows what he wants, he can do it himself. I don't see the issue, especially guys with this much experience. They're not kids. They know what they're looking for. So I totally trust them on that. And should I happen to have an idea that they don't play, I can, call them up on the phone, explain my idea, give it a shot, maybe play it with a keyboard to get an idea and, see if it works out or not. There's all kinds of ways. We're living in an era where this is just easy. I mean, we're talking to each other like this. I can talk like this to them too and continue the process. There's things that they can actually, like when I'm mixing, each one of them can sit in their studios or home or whatever with earphones and listen to me while I mix in real time. This is the world we're living in. And it's great. I mean, because sometimes wasting time, and someone like me that doesn't like traveling, to be totally honest, I'm really happy to be able to work this way. And if there were to be a solo, which is not going to happen, but if a solo would come in and I said, this is absolute garbage, do it again. Well, they do it again. There wouldn't even be an issue. So I'm not even worried about that, but nothing's going to be crap. I know this already. So, and not to mention with things like they're going to record it just with a direct guitar and a plug-in, and then later I can take it back and reamp it into a real nice sound. This is all possible right now. This is easy, so I welcome it.
Right. So let's talk about Bruno Valverde. He's a very young drummer, and in my opinion, he's incredibly talented. I mean, it's impressive. You worked with Achilles, which is a drummer that made his mark on Angra. So what can you say about Bruno's work on this album? What do you think of him as a drummer?
He's just a totally different drummer. Different drummer. I mean, there's nothing they do that is really similar. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be, I don't think they even expected that. He can play Achilles' stuff quite well too, so there's no issue as well. He is more of I have to say, an instrumentalist that he really enjoys his drums and tries to get any kind of little trick or gag or gimmick in whenever possible, a little noise or something. However, compared to Achilles, he's more meat and potatoes. He's more basic. He has a smaller kit. He doesn't need 20 toms and 80 cymbals, and he gets the job done very, very well, even being very minimalistic. He's a powerhouse. He really knows how to get a tone out of his kit. I almost never had to say anything about tuning your kit or this isn't working or that isn't working. It was really easy to set up with him. The drums are set up differently. It's not as congested as with the keyless. His playing, I mean, the guy just nails it. The guy's really, really good. And fixing parts was like, if we wanted to try alternative ideas, he always had ideas right away, you know. Really, really skilled young man, really skilled.
Yeah. And I've been doing interviews with the members of Vanguard to talk about this new record and the creation and the recording process. And I've talked already with Paulo, the manager, Felipe, Marcelo, Bruno, and all of them, they want to make a point of how impressive Fabio Leone's work was on this record. On the reports that I have seen, I'm already impressed, but I would like to know what you have to say about Fabio Leone.
Like I said before, he was, you know, we were really quick. I designated 2 weeks and we had 10 days, and that's all we needed. He was coming in there and just nailing it, take after take, just nailing it, you know. We might have to take a little time to try something or experiment a little bit with some stuff, but once he knew what to do, it was just, you know, one good take after the other. It was really, really easy. It was like no work at all. You know, it was more than impressive. I mean, he's got a vocal range that's really incredible, and the power in his lungs is unbelievable. Yeah. Especially at, I don't mean a negative way, but especially at that age, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he's not old as me, but he's definitely, you know, not the youngest guy on the block. So, but very, very impressive. I mean, I heard of him before, and I knew his work with his other projects and bands, but actually working with him was a treat. Fun guy, nice guy, very polite guy too, and open to the weirdest ideas. He's always willing to try stuff, so it makes my job easy.
Nice. Well, to get out of Vanguard a little bit, and last time I interviewed you, you say that you had just agreed to record a new record with the Chimera Band.
Yes.
And the Hold Your Ground album came out recently.
Right.
I remember you said you didn't want to get involved with the songwriting this time. So I want you to tell me, how was the process and your involvement in creating this album? It's a pretty good album, by the way. I was listening to it like hours ago, and the three first songs, Fire Started, Don't Wait for Love, and I forgot the name of the third song, but those three first songs are great.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Appreciate it. Yes, I did not write songs this time. However, what I did do is I was offered a lot of songs to check out, which we decided on 11. And I have total freedom in my productions. That means I can do what I want with the arrangements. I can revise lyrics. Lyrics I had to do a lot, actually. I didn't write songs, but I did do a lot with some arrangements. Some cases I didn't have to do a lot. Some songs I had to really, you know, make it go another direction, you know. But I had to write some lyrics because I just wasn't happy with it, the lyric, the way they were. And if it doesn't sit well with me, I have a problem with it. And also, you know, some of the ideas I thought to be a little bit, not so great. So there I got involved, but I didn't write anything else other than lyrics.
Nice. Well, I remember you mixed last Edu Falaschi's album, Veracruz. He just announced a new album that is coming and next semester called El Dorado. Did you get involved in this process at all? No.
Well, he's asked me to mix it. I think he wants to mix in May, if I'm correct. It's April and May. I think it's May. I have to look at my calendar, actually. Yeah, but yeah, I was asked to mix this album, yes.
Oh, great. And you've also worked with Northdale in their latest album. So is there any talks to record a new record? Do you talk to Bill Hudson about this?
I actually saw him last week. He was playing in my area, and I went to see the show. It was a great show. I was really, really happy to see it. It's a little bit difficult with them, their situation, having, you know, two guys from Florida, one guy from Brazil, one guy from America, I think, and then one guy from Sweden. So just doing a tour is a pain in the ass, you know. They're thinking about doing another record. I think he was a little bit disappointed because releasing a record in the pandemic time, it
Wow.
was
Yeah,
for a lot of people really, really not great, you know. And he's really proud of his record, which he should be because it's a very, very good record.
it
I really
is.
liked it. And yeah, he discussed it. You know, we talked about it a little. He's not sure, and that's pretty much all I can really say. You know, it's up to him. It's his game. You know, so I'd love to be involved. You know, I really like him, and I really like the band. I really like all of them now that I've met them all, and I would be pleased to work with them because that's also really, you know, it's kind of my thing. I like big productions. I like bands that do more than the standard stuff, you know, and want to put in big choirs and weird guitars and like also the Brazilian percussion. I'm totally into that thing. That's exactly what I like to do. So if he wants me to, I'm more than happy to be involved.
All right. You produced the latest Halloween album, and it
Yes.
came out in April 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, same question: is there any thoughts about a new record?
Who? Yes, there is. But exactly who, what, when, where has not been discussed yet because I think they've got their plates full. They have so much to do live. I mean, it's just constant performing, which I totally get, you know, because what they're trying to do is besides promote their newest album, it's also to keep alive this Halloween thing, the past and the present, right? And well, they have the past, so you know why keep making new stuff on the present? You know when
Yeah.
it's really not that important for them right now. You know, so I don't know if they want to do it again. I'm sure they do at some point, but I don't think it would be this year. And I couldn't imagine it. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. I couldn't imagine it being this year, but I have heard that there is a thought about doing another album at some point. Yes.
All right. Last question. Um, what can the fans expect from Dennis Ward in the future? Whether it's a new production or you playing or singing in different bands like Chimera or Magnum, that's another band that you're in, or the Gus G Trio or any other band.
Yeah, all kinds of ideas. Gus actually asked me recently to do maybe 3 shows in the summer with his solo project, which I don't know if it's going to happen yet. I'm wait till he comes back from tour because they've been on tour for a long time, and I really think that maybe Gus wants to take a break after this. So we'll see about that. Magnum will do nothing this year because they're writing songs. They're in the studio now writing songs, and we will record. I will be recording my part, I think, in June is what we decided on. And other than that, I've just got you know my studio work going on. I don't have a lot of live stuff happening at all. Actually, I have one thing that's going to be neat. In July, I'm supposed to play 2 shows with Stuart Copeland, and that's something I'm
Wow.
really looking forward to. Yeah, that's going to be neat. I don't know what I'm doing though. I have no idea. I'm not quite sure what's going to be going on. But when somebody asked me, I was like, I'd be a fool to say no, wouldn't I?
Yeah, it sounds great. I want to see how it's going to happen.
Me too.
This is very interesting. Well, I think this is it, Dennis.
Yes.
I really appreciate you for your time. Asked everything I wanted to ask about Angra's new record. So time is yours to say whatever you want to say to our audience.
Huh. Be happy. Love everybody, and yeah, be nice to each other. I don't have a lot of things to say. You were pretty thorough with your interview, and I'm glad you could get me involved on board. Just want to tell everybody again to watch out for the album. It's something that we are definitely going to be proud of. I know it already. I have a great feeling with this record. It went so well. It even if the masses didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't care because I know we did a good job and had a lot of fun doing it. So on that thought, I can't believe somebody won't like it. And when you hear the vocals, I think you're going to be quite impressed. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. I'm going to finish it in Portuguese, all right?
All right. Cheers again.
Pessoal, essa foi a nossa entrevista com o Dennis Ward, dando sequência às nossas entrevistas a respeito do novo disco do Angra. Espero que vocês tenham curtido. Se vocês gostaram, deixem o like. Não se esqueçam de verificar a inscrição, ativar o sininho, nos seguir nas redes sociais. Quem quiser e puder, contribua com o nosso trabalho via Pix. Considere se tornar membro do canal, clicando no botão aqui embaixo, Seja Membro. Você escolhe o plano de membros que mais te agrada, que melhor caiba no seu bolso. E é isso aí, a gente não para. Semana que vem tem mais entrevista, mais live e, se tudo der certo, a gente continua as entrevistas por aqui. Beleza? Até a próxima e falou!